Hello BookTube and welcome to Weekly Reads, but first I have a few other things to talk about. First, I watched the season finale of Big Brother All Stars. I thought it was okay. Nothing really shocking happened. I did think there were a few moments early in the finale that I cringed at. Enzo's breakdown when he lost the second part of the HOH, and then once Cody chose him to go with him to Final Two, I just and then them constantly showing him kind of I don't know what that was, and I cringed at that. But in the end, I mean, the best player by far won with a unanimous decision. So, yeah. I'm hoping the next season, next summer, will be better. So anyway, I also watched something on Netflix, which is a shock because I haven't watched something on Netflix in months. I watched the Mucho Mucho Amor, the legend of Walter Mercado. He was a television astrologer who was known for its flamboyance, and he was such a major institution in Latin American and as a continent television for decades. And I thought it was really moving, quite powerful, ultimately sad and a little tragic, and brought to mind a poem by Edward Field, Whatever Happened to Make Caspar, particularly towards the end when Mercado enjoyed a brief sort of resurgence before his death. He was taking photos. He did a photo shoot for this retrospective, and the documentaries showed some of the snippets of the photo shoot, and I immediately thought of May Caspar under those bright studio lights. But I thought it was really good. And now let's move on to the books. So I finished The Napoleonic Wars, A Global History by Alexander Mikaberidze, and I really liked it. As I said last week, I think the book is at its strongest when Mikaberidze is covering the, I guess what you could call the peripheral aspects of the Napoleonic Wars. Most histories of the Napoleonic Wars, I think, focus more on the continental struggle. Whereas the sort of the periphery tends to get forgotten. But I think Mikaberidze really shines when he is discussing the other conflicts. The British role in Latin America or Spanish America, the beginnings of the independence movements in Spanish America, now Latin America. Also, Britain and Asia, the War of 1812, and quite a bit of other stuff. And one thing I think Beridze really shines also is he points out that he's fair to both sides. That no side had the moral sort of right. That, I mean, both sides were compromised. The various coalitions against Napoleon, the British, the Austrians, the Prussians, the Russians, were all thinking about their own personal glory, their own territorial ambitions that France threatened. And which is also why a lot of those coalitions tended to collapse was each monarch had their own agenda, their own ambitions, that as much as France threatened those ambitions, so did their coalition partners. And then with France, while at the start of the Revolutionary Wars, France might have fought to defend itself, to defend the revolution, and to launch an liberatory or ideological war. France's motives eventually became one of exploitative occupation. So, anyway, but I thought this book was amazing and brilliant. It kind of, I think, loses a bit in the final chapter, the aftermath, but on the whole, this is a really, really good book. And quite heavy. Next, I read or started SPQR, which I've read for most of this week. I got 150 pages or 160 pages on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday I did 50 each. Wednesday I got about 80-ish, or a little more than 80, obviously Big Brother, so I read for most of that, I think. And then 50 again on Thursday and Friday, because I decided to, I could have, after Wednesday, I had about 200 left, but I decided to go ahead and finish the book off to finish the book tomorrow, and instead read some manga, like after I finished my readings for each day, which I'll talk about here in a few. And then Saturday, I guess I should talk about it here in a bit. Sorry. Anyway, I'm of mixed opinions about SPQR. On the one hand, I like it. It's well written, it's engaging, it flows very nicely, and reading the book, I'm engaged. But I don't know, it seems like it's lacking depth or something. Maybe it's Beard wanted to revise the history of Rome, to reevaluate the history of Rome, but never quite did it, or never quite does it. That she always sort of teases a reevaluation or a reevaluation, but she always pulls back. It's sort of like talking about Caligula, who she calls Gaius, or Nero. She mentions, well, were they as bad as the information we've received about them? Well, we have reason to suspect not, that they were maybe not as terrible as the information we have depicts them as. But let's assume that it's true. And I'm like, what? So then why even mention it? And there are numerous cases of that throughout the book, where Beard looks as if she's going to do a reevaluation and pulls back and reasserts the traditional narrative, or a modernized version of it. And so I don't know quite what I make of this. So hopefully when I finish the book next week and I have a bit more room to think or time to think about it, I'll come back and whether or not I figured out what my feeling with it is. And it is quite frustrating though that I can't put my finger on it at this moment. Anyway, so again, I will finish the book tomorrow. Thursday I read volume 3 of The 7 Deadly Sins by Nakaba Suzuki, and I really liked it. It's been a few months since, or about a month or so since I've read any manga, and I quite missed it. I just loved every moment reading the volume. Uh, Basically, uh, Melodious and Elizabeth have rescued Bond from this super prison, and they are continuing their quest to find the other members of the Seven Deadly Sins. In this volume, they track down King, who is not terribly happy to see one of his former comrades. And it is quite amazing, and I'm looking forward tomorrow to get to volume 4. And then today I read Fairy Tale Volume 5 by Hiro Mashima. It continues the Galuna Island arc, and I quite liked it. I really liked it. I know the last time I talked about Fairy Tale, I had some issues with this arc, largely because a lot of the characters, the antagonists in this arc, later become allies of Fairy Tale. And it's kind of like that sort of redemption, that sort of changing character. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to quite buy it, because at this point Leon is a fairly repugnant brat. But he obviously grows out of it. But anyway, so looking forward to it. Getting a few more volumes of Fairy Tale read too tomorrow, and I'll talk about much more again on Friday. So what am I going to be reading starting in Sunday? I'm going to start Nonfiction November with The Life and Death of Ancient Cities by Greg Woolf. And looking forward to it. I've had this book for a few months. Had an interesting time getting it. So I'd originally pre-ordered it from Amazon, and then Amazon, this was during their period of focusing more on essential goods. And the book just had some release issues, so I decided to just cancel it and then order the book either through Libris or Book Depository. And I decided to order it through Book Depository, and I got it in a usual Book Depository fashion. And about that time, it actually became more easily available on Amazon. So I'm like, quite annoyed by that. But anyway, I'm looking forward to finally getting to The Life and Death of Ancient Cities. And I will let you know next week what it's about and my thoughts on it. And since I'm anticipating I should finish The Life and Death of Ancient Cities sometime the middle of next week, I'm going to also probably start The Beauty and the Terror by Catherine Fletcher. This is the history of the Renaissance, and I'm quite looking forward to this one too. And so that's my reading plans for this coming week. I'm hoping I will be able to get a few more Netflix movies or documentaries or series done. I've been meaning to, but I've never quite found the time. Also have a NaNoWriMo to get started on. And I think I'm going to just focus on Scorpius. Fates of Chaos, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. I need to give that project a rethink, I think. So as far as videos next week, I'm thinking I might try to have a video up on Monday. I don't know about I'm not sure about Tuesday, because once I get off, I'm going to go vote. So I don't know exactly how long that's going to be. I don't anticipate it'll be too long because early voting in my county has been pretty robust. And I haven't really had much of a wait when I voted in the past, even though this is a presidential, so they'll probably be more crowded. But I'm thinking it won't, I'm hoping it won't be too long. So if I'm back in time, I'll do a tag video. If not, I won't have a video up on Tuesday, and then I might do a tag on Thursday. So the reason why I'm voting on election day and not on voting early is because my polling place on election day is about a 10-minute walk. Whereas if I had voted early, I would have tried to find a ride to take a 15-minute drive to the nearest early voting location. So I decided I'm just going to vote on election day and hope it's not too crowded, that most voters in the county have already voted and I won't have to wait in town, so I won't have to wait too long. And so I'll probably get a light lunch ready for my mom before I go, so she won't be hungry when I get back if it does take a while. And yeah, hopefully everything turns out well and there's nothing bad happens in the days following, and hopefully Joe Biden wins. But anyway, so and then obviously Thursday I might try to do a video, and then on Friday there will be weekly reads. Yeah, and we will probably begin seeing, if I don't cover it up, the new books section starting to get some new occupants. And starting next week, of course I won't talk about them until towards the end of November. And then also Christmas presents are going to be coming in starting on Monday, and hopefully the post office doesn't get too annoyed with us. There's going to be a lot of packages coming in on Monday. Anyway, BookTube, I'm starting to ramble, so I'll go ahead and sign off now. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. If you have already voted, thank you. If you're waiting until election day, please remember to vote if you are so able and registered. And stay safe. Thank you, BookTube.